For the first time in 22 years, Ward 4 in Barrie will have a new councillor. The current councillor, Barrie Ward, is running to be the next mayor of Barrie instead. There are 8 candidates in the race and 2 participated in a debate organized by Engage Barrie. Michael Lewis has been living in Barrie since 1980. He has no political experience but wants to give back to the community through public service. Amy Corser has a professional background in manufacturing, accounting, and marketing. She volunteers for Barrie Food Bank and is a founding member of Politics for Women. Her top priorities are improving accessibility, solving homelessness, and enhancing access to services. The debate was moderated by Romanek of Engage Barrie, and candidates answered questions related to homelessness, affordable housing, making Barrie a more inclusive society, among others.
We'll get started. So I'd like to open up with just a little bit of a land acknowledgement and an introduction. So on behalf of Engage Barrie, I would like to thank the candidates and all the attendees for making time in their schedules to be here today. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge that we are gathered today on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, including the Odawa, the Ojibwe, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. Lake Simcoe and Kempenfelt Bay are part of the Upper Canada Treaties, and the City of Barrie is part of Treaty 16, signed in 1815, and Treaty 18, signed in 1818. As a settler, when I listen and learn more about the traditional cultures of this land, I come to further value the importance of shared history, storytelling, stewardship of our lands, and cooperation among people. As we listen to our candidates, let's take the time today to hear their stories and listen to their intentions for the stewardship of the city we call our home. Thank you very much for joining us, Amy and Michael, this evening. Just also would like to say that, Engage Barrie is a nonprofit formed to help create an equitable community, empowered people, and an engaged local democracy. We feel that an informed voter is an empowered voter. If you're looking to get more information about the election process, please visit engagebarrie.org/elections. There you'll find information on the new electronic voting system, where to get help casting your ballot, information on issues and candidates, and more. We are recording all of these candidate sessions, so that, probably about 24 to 48 hours after they're done, they'll be appearing on that page as well, so you'll be able to go back and missed it. If you know it, go back and review it. If you know people who've missed it and can direct them to the site, that'll be great. So a little bit of order of operations for this evening. We're going to start with some candidate introductions shortly. Each candidate will get 1.5 minutes to introduce themselves. They'll get a notification with about 30 seconds left, and I will try to politely interrupt them if they go over time. After they've done their introductions, we will go to pre-sent questions, which the candidates have been able to respond to or formulate their answers to, and they'll have 2.5 minutes to respond to that. We've extended the opportunity for candidates who can make it this evening, because unfortunately it's not always easy to find time that works for everybody. So those who couldn't make it for some reason and would like to send in written responses to those 3 questions, we will post those on our site as well. After those questions have been addressed, we will go to questions from the audience. And this is where I'm going to encourage you, the audience, to use the Q&A to send questions, and we will make sure that there aren't any duplicates, and we'll get them sorted out and asked to our candidates with as much time as we have. Okay, I think that's gonna, and then there'll be a closing section for both candidates. What I'm going to try to do is switch to a different mode, so you will see one person at a time, so that way when the candidates are speaking, we can focus on their message and not get distracted by the other ones up here. So right now you should be seeing just my face, and I will be off screen shortly. So let's start with, and we'll take turns to who gets to start each section. We're going to start with Amy, since you're the first on my list. So why don't you open up with an introduction? You have 1.5 minutes, and welcome.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Amy Corser, and I'm running for Ward 4 Council. I was born and raised in Barrie, and I'm proud to be raising my young son here as well. We bought our house, which is located right on the border of Ward 4 almost 20 years ago. And I am compassionate, I'm passionate, I have a hungry mind that is constantly learning. I look for evidence-based solutions to challenges, and I can find an answer. I won't let it go. My professional background includes working in manufacturing, construction, administration, accounting. In the last 17 years, I've been a digital marketer. So I have a very diverse background. And a digital marketer, I've worked as an entrepreneur, I've worked for nonprofits, and I've also headed up the department for an international German engineering corporation. I have been involved in several grassroots initiatives, including in our community, including 12 Ladies in a Tent. We raised over 300,000 pounds of food for the Barrie Food Bank. I'm a co-founder of Politics for Women, a nonpartisan organization that helps women to get involved in politics through education, encouragement, and engagement. Also, I'm the vice chair of CARP Barrie, and I helped create the Seniors Community Fund, which monetarily supports elders living in poverty in our community. And if elected, my top 3 priorities are to improve accessibility and safety of our neighborhoods, parks, and school zones, to work with our community partners to find compassionate, evidence-based solutions to our homelessness crisis, and affordable housing, improved transportation, and access to services. Again, thank you for the invitation to this forum, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions and learning from all of you today.
Thank you very much, Amy. Michael, if you'd like to introduce yourself now, please.
Yeah, sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Lewis, and I've chosen to stand for position of councillor for Ward 4 in this election. I'd like to thank Engage Barrie for putting this forum on, and I'd like to thank those in attendance for your time. My family moved to Barrie in 1980 when the population was just 30,000 people, just in time for me to enter high school. I felt like an outcast and unwelcomed and wanted to leave upon graduation, but I didn't. In the late 80s, the jobs left towns because of free trade. I remember that. And I wanted to do so as well, but I didn't. Then I started a family of my own, and I didn't want to leave. I was educated here and employed here and have had children here. And now I'm an empty nester and have the time and the willingness to give the effort to give back through service to the community I call home. I have no political experience. That's why I'm not running for mayor, but I won't get any if I don't participate in an election. So I want to give residents who feel like they don't like me, I want to give residents who felt like me a voice so they feel heard and may decide to participate in our democracy and cast a vote, because there has been very low numbers in municipal voting and voting in general. So thank you all for having me here tonight.
Thank you very much, Michael. So now we'll start into the section where we do the 3 questions that were sent earlier to the candidates. The first question is about housing. So this time Michael will start and Amy will go second. And the question is, access to affordable quality housing is a fundamental human right, which affects our physical and mental health, prosperity, and community. The City Barrie's Housing Affordability Task Force report has given us a blueprint of how to tackle the housing crisis. Which of these recommendations would you prioritize? How do you intend to support housing development in a way that addresses the needs of all income levels, abilities, ages, and stages, while also being environmentally responsible and working towards more diverse, integrated community building? Michael.
Great question. Okay. I was very excited to hear the city had a task force created to look into the housing crisis the city is experiencing. I've noticed since 1985, when we had the tornado, it was probably one of the best things that ever happened to us. It got us building. The construction trade really went up and up from then. But somewhere down the road, the supply was overwhelmed by the demand. There was more and more people that were coming to Barrie, and unfortunately, there isn't enough housing. Upon review, there are some great recommendations, and I feel that those who are having the most trouble attaining affordable housing should be their priority. Like, we have a huge homelessness problem at this moment, and because of the unaffordability of the residences that are now in town, with, again, the supply being very low, you know, I see a lot of people that are like 1 or 2 paychecks away from homelessness themselves. And it's been a problem for quite a while, and this pandemic sure didn't help. Many locations have been designated, but I don't see any shovels in the ground. Sophia and Bayfield is an excellent example. The lot has been empty for 6 years, yet there's advertising on it continuously talking about the development of it. That's not right, especially when I've seen a for-profit building just around the corner at the upper end of our ward itself. I watched it being built. I think they put the shovels in the ground last summer, and it's almost done. It's almost ready for occupancy. Seniors housing is another one that's a higher priority because they only have a fixed income. They're not making enough money. They have to make choices whether they can eat, put a roof over their head, pay their utilities. They're always coming up short at the end of in the middle of the month. I've noticed 2 church lands that are being developed right now for affordable housing, one being the Salvation Army at the Citadel there, and one that was brought to my attention through an email, the Lutheran Church over on Ferndale. They have plans that they want to put in affordable housing. So why is it that the churches are taking care of the affordable housing, but nobody else is stepping up to the plate in our ward or in our city, for that matter, to the affordable housing? Again, going back to Sophia and Bayfield as a perfect example of that. So many people have written me emails so far about the homeless problem. We already have, and we already have housing prices keep going up, and so will homelessness. The supply has to increase, and the city needs to increase it. NIMBY has to be eradicated, or the problem will just get worse, and who wants that? I don't, because everybody is saying, oh, wonderful ideas. I support that idea 110%, but I don't want it in my neighborhood. That'll shrink my property value. And then they have this reputation of not looking at people as people, but looking at them for what they're doing. So like if I'm a homeless person and I'm hungry, what am I going to do? I'm going to go find some food. So I'm probably going to have to sit there and steal, and I don't want to steal. So I might have to go, rummage through somebody's car, rummage through somebody's house, go into one of the businesses and pick some food off the shelves and stuff, because that's just what we need to do as human beings to sustain ourselves. So
Norman, I'm sorry, Michael, somebody just posted a question. My apologies. Yes, your time is up. Thank you for that answer.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Amy, if you would like to respond.
First, I'd like to thank Michael for that incredibly compassionate, insightful view into actually what is going on in our homelessness crisis that we're having in Barrie. This is very near and dear to my heart. First off, I'd like to say that our community is in crisis. I believe that housing is a human right. And to me, we are not only in an affordable housing crisis, but we're also facing a true humanitarian crisis in our community. Ward 4 has been heavily impacted in our community members who do not have housing and are left to live rough in our woods and parks and green areas. As I talk to my house neighbors in Ward 4, I'm very concerned that some of their empathy is turning into frustration, anger, and apathy. And the worst thing we can have is apathy. We don't need more studies, we need action. The last thing we need is more politicians talking about what should be done to fix it. We need a real-time, full-time task force that gives decision-making to our community partners and planners, and we need to fight on their behalf to get the funding needed that maybe whether it be through charitable donations or different levels of government. That is our number one priority as far as I'm concerned in the city, is to ensure that people who are homeless find housing and people that are facing homelessness are supported. Second priority I have is when discussing truly affordable housing in the future, we need to find accessible, age-friendly housing need to be built in areas with easy access to day-to-day needs, like grocery stores, pharmacies, medical facilities, education, and outdoor spaces. Many proposed affordable housing builds, like the one being proposed in the corner of Livingston and Ferndale in Ward 4, do not meet any of these criteria. I know that affordable housing is the priority right now, but many in need of low-income housing are single parents working 2 or more jobs, people with mobility challenges, and the elderly. Most do not own cars due to the cost of the car itself, gas, insurance, maintenance. Public transit is a poor option due to the time constraints with young families, single parents, and people who do not have the strength and ability to use our public transit for extended periods of time. Making neighborhoods more walkable, wheelable, and physically accessible isn't just about making it easier for individuals to get around. It's about creating a healthy, active, and connected community, better physical and mental health, and less impact on our environment. Therefore, I would prioritize future builds in underutilized existing spaces on commercial lands with high walkability scores, high mobility scores that were recommended in the Housing Affordability Task Force report. And one such build was targeted for the Bayfield Mall, and
Thank you,
I can see
Amy.
that being an excellent. Oh, sure.
I know these are big questions and it's tough to get the responses in, but we appreciate your answers for both of you. Thank you very much. So the next question that we're going to pursue is related around youth, and Amy will be answering first on this one. And the question is, what plans do you have for attracting and retaining more young people to and in our city, including plans for ensuring a more inclusive, vibrant, and sustainable environment for them? How will you attract the quality and well-paying employment opportunities to help give them a more secure future? And what programs and services can Barrie provide to help them build their skills and support young entrepreneurship? And by young people, we are referring to people in their late teens, 20s, and early 30s. Amy, if you may, please. Oops, Amy, we've lost your audio.
That was mine. Okay. Barrie has a first-class economic and cultural department that has won several international awards for COVID recovery and artist design enhancement projects. I believe that mixing economic development with arts and culture is the key to creating a city that will continue to attract youth. I will continue to support the expand Barrie's current entrepreneurial, educational, and incubator type supports, such as the Sandbox, Further Faster program, and the Henry Bernick Enterprise Center. There's also the Starter Company Plus and a Summer Company Plus program, which targets youth between ages 15 and 29. Barrie Employment Land Strategies, Barrie Employment Land Strategies Lead Generation Initiative should continue to prioritize industries that attract young talent and support higher paying jobs, such as life sciences, advanced manufacturing, and aerospace engineering, over industries like warehousing and retail, which traditionally takes up a lot of land for a small amount of low-paying employment. We also need to make living in Barrie a place that is attractive to youth in the work from home revolution by prioritizing active transportation over cars in our city, following through with plans to make our downtown core an entertainment and market district, supporting more co-working and shared office space hubs, particularly in our downtown core, and making free Wi-Fi available in our city parks and centers. And that's what I have for that.
Great, thank you very much. Michael, over to you for your response.
I found this to be a tough question. living in Barrie, growing up in Barrie, going to high school in Barrie and stuff, it seems to be that I generally know that the graduating class that I had, it was like everybody went to university somewhere else and then they never came back. They went to find the better paying jobs wherever they were. I haven't really seen anything that to hold them back in many years. So again, this is a tough question, but I'm finding with the pandemic and with working from home due to the pandemic, if we could provide like the internet infrastructure there, or even office space or something where they don't have to make that big commute to Toronto, I think that would keep us here. That definitely they're working from home, so they wouldn't have to, go look for jobs in other cities. They could look for the jobs in the other cities, but still work here. Again, the culture and cultural facilities to entertain our youth. It's been next to non-existent for many years. I know they keep going to Toronto. They keep going to Toronto for this, that, the other thing, and we need to bring that. But again, that goes for all. We have no culture whatsoever. Our restaurants are even dying in Barrie. All we're getting is the box store restaurants. So it's not really enticing to keep people here. I know we've been a tourist town for many years, but we're even losing that. It's kind of like people are driving by. They're not actually stopping to say hello. On that note, Barrie needs to entice employers to pay good wages to invest here as well. Our geography itself is very well, like we're in the central of a lot of different areas. And again, people seem to pass through. Nobody seems to want to stop here. Nobody wants to build factories here, or if they do build factories, it's like 5 to 10 people instead of the factories that we used to have, which was employing 50 to 100 people. I've seen the improvement to our recreation facilities, indoors and outdoors, which has been drawing a lot of youth, and feel we can also keep improving there as well. And with that, thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Michael. So we'll go to our third and final pre-sent question. This is related to growth. Looking forward and beyond Barrie's housing concerns, how will you handle the growth of our population and the opportunities and challenges this can generate? What are your 3 priorities to make our community more equitable, safe, and affordable for all residents as we grow, while providing infrastructure, public transportation, green space, recreation, and other city services required by this increasing population? And how will you work towards eliminating systemic barriers, including race, gender, ability, age, and economic status, to ensure Barrie is a safe and welcoming city for all residents? Michael, if you could respond first, please.
There we go. Excellent question. The 3 priorities about growth in Barrie would be infrastructure to accommodate said growth, internet for people to work from home, and educational institutions so we can cut back on transportation costs and decrease traffic congestion. So since 1985, I've noticed a huge influx in population again. Who wouldn't want to live here? Our geography speaks for itself. The lakeshore and all of the areas that surround it are very appealing. The problem I have seen in acquiring lands for future development that doesn't get zoned correctly. So why can't we make it so that rezoning for the immediate needs can happen? Just because one place is industrial at one particular moment when we've acquired that land, why can't we turn it into something different for what we need at that particular moment? Again, we have all these lands that we've annexed over the years, but I found and I hear about how there's always rezoning issues. So if we could sit there and cut the red tape on that, I feel that would really help. The second part, the world has created the smart city. We see examples of it in the GTA and now apps to eradicate commuting. So it's been mentioned about having Wi-Fi put out throughout the city. I know that the communication companies are in the process of providing fiber to the home to all the housing, all the houses and the industries in the city. So having all that proper infrastructure could help us with that smart city. And again, it would help us with the transportation as well, because maybe we can go to an electric fleet of vehicles. Providing that form of infrastructure should happen sooner at lower cost than later to play catch up at greater cost, because I've seen that happen over the years too. It's like all of a sudden it's like, bam, we need a A fire department. Well, why didn't you put the fire department there before you needed it, when it was cheaper instead of later when it cost more? And schools, we just don't have enough schools whatsoever. I see brand new subdivisions going up and there's no schools. And so what do? We have to add more bus routes to transport students to schools. And I don't feel that's fair. Why not provide an allotted section of every subdivision to build the school on, keeping as much greenhouse gases out of our atmosphere? And we all want to raise a family in Barrie, so let's plan that with that in mind. And I think we can just do better, proper planning, and help the education board to see that happen. And even say to the developers in the subdivisions, okay, you got to allot some land, and they could include it into the price of the housing and such to help offset the cost for us. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, thank you for those very thoughtful and insightful answers. We're gonna open up with some questions from the audience, and one of the first questions that has come in. We also received some email questions earlier in the day, so we will go through those as well too. But one of the questions that came in from an audience member is they would like both candidates to declare their political affiliations or lack thereof. And to both candidates, do you have or have you taken money from any political party or source? So Amy, if you'd like to answer that first.
I have a question, Rob.
Yeah.
Rob, I don't think Amy was able to speak on the growth part, was she?
My goodness. Thank you, Michael. I did mess up on my.
Thank you.
On my good. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. I'm very nervous.
I told you, Amy, I was nervous as well when we started talking about this.
Yeah.
So
I'm very nervous in front of a camera. And so, yeah, I was hoping I'd like to answer it, but I was kind of relieved. But
thank you. Amy, please go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I was born and raised in Barrie. I remember growing up here. I'm taking this question totally off the cuff. I was born and raised in Barrie. I remember when there was 3 bus routes going downtown to Woolworths for fries and gravy. Things have changed greatly, and we need to catch up. Barrie seems to be always catching up. We need to be fixing our infrastructure to catch up to the growth. Barrie was never built to be the city that it is today. And further growth in the future is extremely challenging. Hopefully, we're going to get over that lump in the near future now that we're kind of building up our infrastructure where it is. But we need to start looking at how we're planning our city. We're making it easy for people to sleep here and then worked in Toronto. We don't need more highways. We need more of what we have at home. We need to concentrate on developing attracting businesses and companies to our city instead of sending people out of our city. We need those supports there for the families, and like Michael mentioned about the schools that need to be in better shape, which is not directly our purview, but we should be putting input into it. Barrie was built as a car culture, and that obviously isn't working for the future. We need walkable neighborhoods. We need walkable communities. We need everything that is close to us so we can build that culture and that strength that we need, because a city is nothing without its community. I also think that I was shocked to find out that the city of Barrie does not have a diversity committee. And once I'm elected, I will definitely be working with Toronto and different communities around to ensure that we put in a very good, which already have a diversity committees in place, to ensure that we set one up that's proper. And I'd like to spearhead that once I'm elected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm just going to double check. Have I missed anybody on the 3 questions? Housing, youth, and growth. I think we've covered everything. All right, now we'll move to the audience questions. So we're going to give you 2 minutes each to answer these. Again, you'll see John, who's helping out. You'll see his hand pop up on your screen if once you hit the 30-second mark, or 30 seconds left mark. So back to the first question. The request has been made of both candidates to declare their political affiliation or lack thereof, and also to say if they've taken campaign money from any political party or source. Amy, if you can go first, please.
Oh, this is easy. No, I do not have any party affiliation whatsoever. I actually developed, me and a friend created Politics for Women a few years ago, and I have never been part of a party. And because I developed that, an educational program, I have never been part of a party because I thought it was unethical to be a part of a party with being in that organization. Also, I swore if I was ever going to run party politics, which I never would, I would run independent. And also, I have never received any any donations to my campaign from any political party at all.
Great. Thank you very much. Michael, if you can respond, please.
Yes. No party affiliation whatsoever. I don't believe that political parties should be at the municipal level. I think it's very independent. The reason I am running is because I want to be a voice of the ward. I don't want to be the voice of any political party. They already have enough voices at the provincial and the federal level, and at the municipal level, at the grassroots where it is today. I feel it should be just individuals running and individuals doing their thing. I just opened up a bank account the other day, and I haven't received any campaign funds whatsoever, and I haven't even really actually solicited any campaign runs or funds whatsoever. I've just trying to be keeping it green, and I prefer to just go out and meet the people and knock on the doors because I'm here to represent you. I'm not here to represent the political party, and I feel at the other end, at the other levels of government, they're already well represented, and I don't want to see a Barrie where political parties get involved whatsoever. I think I would move right out of town really fast if it happened. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay. So another question that's come in is a question about bike lanes. The participant or the attendee would like to know, they'd be interested in they would like to know the opinion of each candidate regarding the addition of bike lanes. So Michael, if you can start, please.
I remember the good old days when I used to ride a bicycle through town, and Barrie is actually a very one. I really enjoyed riding a bicycle through town. I ride a bicycle through town now recreationally. Before it used to be my mode of transportation, and it still works very well as a mode of transportation in town. I've noticed that we have really, as the city of Barrie, as a city itself, has really made bike lanes a priority. Definitely in Ward 4, there's probably 4 or 5 roads. The main arteries that are going through do have bike lanes. Problem is getting the drivers to obey the bike lanes would be really nice. But yes, we could always add more bike lanes. I'm all for that, 100%. If we could, maybe shut down some thoroughfares and make them a little more bike friendly, as like we do in the summertime with Dunlop Street, cut it off at certain times and such. And as we did during the pandemic, we kind of cut off Lakeshore there for a bit and such. If we can see more of that to improve the bike lane situations and the bicycling, and again, like Amy was saying, get Barrie away from the car culture and get more into, bicycling, or even if we could put bus lanes into town or something to that effect to, again, help with the transportation and keep the greenhouse gases down to a minimum. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Michael. Amy.
Yes, I have to agree with Michael. He's absolutely right. There's no downside to having bike lanes in the city of Barrie. They're building to the future. We need to be a more active community. If we want to attract youth to our community, we need to be a more active community. We need to be a more active transportation community. We absolutely, it builds to traffic calming measures. I like to see more aggressive bike lanes where we have more of a barrier for bikes, which actually helps with traffic calming and it helps with keeping bikes safe. Yeah, I'm 100% for bike lanes. I think that every road in our community needs a bike lane.
Thank you very much. Okay, a question that's come in is about the arts and culture in Barrie. The city of Barrie is on the cusp of investing in an asset that will boost the economy and be of benefit to all Barrie residents for decades to come. That is the building of a performing arts center. With a performing arts center, professional entertainment of all kinds will arrive on our doorstep year-round, while also being used for community performances and activities. It will cost the taxpayer less to run on a percentage basis than our city sports and recreation services. What position will you take with respect to the completion of the proposed 3-space performing arts center in Barrie? Amy, if you can start, please.
Right along with bike lanes, this is a no-brainer for me. If we want to attract youth, if we want to attract business to our community, if we want to attract employees to our community to support those businesses, we need to have a strong culture. We need to have good places for, besides a nightclub, for people to go to. And this is really important just for support our youth, our children. We need to have these sort of things to build culture in our city. And yes, absolutely. I'm 100% supporting a new theater, any type of thing that can build upon that.
Thank you very much. Michael, your turn, please.
Well, if we're going to be a big city, we should start looking like a big city, because again, with the growth situation, we're going to have a lot. Barrie is not going to get any smaller. It's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And as it gets bigger, we need to provide for our residents, left, right, and center. So of course we need that. I'm 100% the same behind the performing arts. You know, at the moment, we are ramping up the GO train services. Why? So people can go down there and enjoy the concerts, and people can go down there and enjoy the shows, and people can go down there, enjoy all the museums and the culture that is all part of Toronto. Again, if we're gonna expand and we're gonna keep growing, we need to start acting like that city. I look at a lot of the cities in the GTA, and they all have performing arts centers, every single one of them, because the people expect and want culture in their town. And we need to start providing that. It's not like it's a new idea. It's been ringing through for a while now. And all they've been doing is demolishing the old one at the old central site. And then the one that they have downtown is so small. It's like, how do you even get a performance out of that place? And I remember the Georgian Theater. I don't know if they still use it or not, but even that one it's too small as well. And it gives people something to do behind the scenes as well, and it's going to provide employment and such. So it's a very, very, very a long overdue idea that needs to come to fruition. And if voted in, I will definitely putting that one on the floor. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, another question that's come in is regarding workplace safety. There was a bill called Stopping Harassment and Abuse by Local Leaders Act that was brought forward and introduced in provincial legislation that would deter municipal councillors and board members from engaging in harassment by holding them accountable for their actions, but it was not passed before the provincial election. Since that time, or just recently, it's been reintroduced as Bill 5. Do you support this bill? And if elected, what would you do to support it? Michael, if you can go first, please.
Thank you. Interesting enough, I turned on the TV last night. I went to our local Rogers station, and there was 2 women on there discussing that exact topic, and really, really, really enlightened my eyes. I had heard about it, and I, again, listening to the two women sitting down and discussing it, the one key thing that they did say is we have a majority government down at Queen's Park, and their question was, why haven't they already voted this into action? And it was suggested that we, as the people that are running for in this election, that we should get out there and promote, our residents to maybe give the MPPs a call and say, hey, let's get this through as soon as possible, because nowhere in anywhere in the world should people be harassed, and the people that are harassing not being held accountable for it. If we give them some consequences for their actions, maybe we can cut it down. I'd like to eradicate it 100%, but that's unreal. But we have to hold people accountable for their actions. Must definitely, because as we see, there's not too many candidates that are even sitting here tonight. And that's a direct result of, like, why would anybody put their hat in the ring if they're only going to get harassed left, right, and center, and the harasser is not held accountable for their actions and dealt with harsh consequences on top of that. And thank you for that great question. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Amy, your turn.
I was at City Hall when that protest happened as a supporter, and I find it stunning when I learned that, because I did learn recently that we do not have, politicians are not, elected officials are not held to the same standards as workplace rights, labor laws. And that shocked me in the first place. Secondly is, we go knocking on doors and we're telling people that we speak to every single day to trust us. We're telling people every single day that we are good people. And we are expecting, we are hoping that they believe us. And when they do believe us and they vote for us, and then we turn around to not be the people that they thought we were, there is no recourse to remove us from office. Shocking. And I am a huge supporter of this. I don't want to play the gender card, but women are always harassed in these positions. It is not we know of history of the city of Barrie, this is happening through politicians, elected officials, and this needs to stop. And it needs to stop yesterday. I can't believe it was ever allowed in the first place. So yes, I support that bill 100%.
Thank you very much. A question that comes in that just came in was, please describe what you think is the most important ability you will bring to council if you are elected. Sorry, I'm reading this all wrong. Please describe what you think is the most important ability you will bring to council if you are elected. Still not reading that right. Please describe what you think is the most important ability you will bring to council if you are elected that will help bridge differing opinions within that body. So what skill or ability are you bringing that's going to help bridge differing opinions within council? Amy, if you can go first, please.
I believe that I have a very unique position because I come from a very diverse background. I have worked on construction sites as a laborer. I have worked in manufacturing. I have sat in the C-suite. I have faced homelessness. I have faced a lot of things. I can look at the world through multiple lenses. So when I talk to people and I deal with people, I can connect with them and see how they are looking through things through their own lenses. And it's important to be able to acknowledge that and to respect that, but at the same time work towards a meaningful and good decision that is for the city as a whole. And I think that I am easy to approach, I'm easy to talk to, and I am very fact-based, evidence-based. I don't go on emotion or opinions that might be fed to me through different positions. So I'd like to think that that is something that I will bring that would be helpful to bring everyone together at the table.
Great, thank you very much. Michael, your turn.
Oh, liking these questions. Lots of food for thought on that one, definitely. What would I bring to the table in council? Like I said in my opening statement, I've been working in my ward and I've been talking to a lot of people in my ward, and I think the biggest thing again is underrepresentation. I don't feel that people in the city of Barrie are being represented properly. For what reason, I don't know. It seems to be that there's always an influence of something somewhere, somehow that wants to get done. And then the other people don't get that. They just don't seem that important as maybe somebody else, and their issues are not heard. I really want to try to, again, going out there, knocking on doors, asking questions like, what do you want me to do? Or what do you want the city to hear? Or what do you want the city to do for you? You know, and I don't think people get that. I don't think people are aware that that's even possible. And it shows every time that we have an election. I look at the polling numbers and I see the turnout for the votes, and it's low, very, very low. Again, because and I talk to people, I go, why didn't you vote in the last election? I don't feel I'm represented there. I don't feel I have a voice there. So therefore, why would I go in and participate in that and such? And it disappoints me. I don't like that happening. So I definitely want to get in there. I want to communicate. I have a good personality where I can sit down. I'm a good listener. And if I'm in a group environment, you know, I take everybody's point of view into consideration, and then I try to, you know, help us just come to one common goal, a common goal, not a singular goal, but a common goal that helps everybody at the table and everybody in the city. I feel the city itself is divided. Like you have the south end and you have the north end. We're in the north end, and then you have the south end, and then you have the south end. I think half the time they don't even think that they live in Barrie. They think that they live in North Toronto, because they're always jumping in their car and taking off and going to work or going down there to do whatever. And I would rather see Barrie for what it is, a community, and everybody in the community needs to be represented. You know, from the homeless right up to the guy living in the penthouse somewhere.
Thank you, Michael. That's time.
Thank you for that question.
Great. Another question is regarding policing. Where do the candidates' priorities lie with respect to our police budget? What goals do you have aimed at improving our otherwise excellent police service? Michael, if you can start that one, please.
Yes, the police service. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Oh my Lord. Me personally, I sat there and I looked at it, and we got a new police station in the middle of town. Well, it's not in the middle, that's kind of central in the middle of town. It's really close to the highway. I like the location and everything. What I didn't understand was why they were shutting down the old police precinct that's only like 20 years old. I think they only built it in 1999 or such. And I'm thinking, okay, so you put it in a new facility. But again, with the growth that's coming in Barrie, our police force is going to get bigger and bigger, because we need to police the more people that come in. So instead of having one central office, I think we're at the stage where we're going to have to start putting precincts left, right, and center anyways to service all parts. Like we put in the police, the fire stations, we put in the ambulance stations where they are needed. And I think we need to do the same with the police. I think we need to support the police. My hats are off to anybody that signs up to be a police person in the first place. The job that they have, I'm not the person to do that. The situations that they have to get into, the situations that they're confronted with, and so on and so forth is just, it's, again, my hats are off to them. Keeping within budget, again, if we have one facility that we only built like 2 decades ago, why are we abandoning that? And then again, it's going to come down to, like Amy was saying earlier, instead of playing catch up, let's plan ahead, because we know the growth is there and we have to support our police services. And I remember the other day they were talking and calling them the police force, and I'm sitting in the office, in the audience, and I'm going, why are you calling the police force? When you use that word force, it puts them in a bad light. I'd rather have them as a police service. I want them to be more active in the community. I don't want people to be afraid of our police service. I want them to see that our police service is there to serve and protect and to help us. and not get a bad name. And again, they just need to plan out better with the growth and see them for who they are. Can you imagine a world without a police service? I can't. That would be utter chaos. And no, thank you.
Thank you for your answer, Michael. Amy, you're up.
As mentioned in previous forums, the term defund the police has a bad rap. And whoever the PR team that came up with that saying should be fired out of hand. I believe that we should diversify our funding to more, not to defund our police force, but I think that we need to evaluate funding to be more diversified into mental health supports, and to also to diversify our police force itself, to make sure that as we grow as a city, that efforts are made to hire more and more diverse people on the police force, so that people who live here will see themselves mirrored into who that is protecting and supporting them in the community. I think that the city, again, born and raised Barrie, the Barrie City Police has a challenging reputation from years gone past. And I think that they need to rework that, and they need to put a solid effort into creating a more diverse and people of color, the BIPOC population, all sorts of different things that need to be put into the police force to make it more understanding of the community that we are going to become.
Great. Thank you for that. A question's come up about recreation and sports in Barrie. Do you believe recreation and sporting programs should be subsidized by the city or be fully paid by the user? Should children have access to affordable programs? Amy, if you'd like to go first.
That is a super good question, because I think that there needs to be allowances for income levels to ensure that children and people from different income levels are supported in using our recreational facilities, maybe differently than people who might be more have more money and can afford to put their children into these sports. I think that there needs to be a bit of a sliding scale on these issues. I don't know what that looks like, but I would be very happy to be on some sort of team to figure that out. And at the elderly, I remember during COVID, you could not, when you could sign up to go to a recreational facility, but you had to be online and sign up to go. That was very difficult, or you could phone into City Hall, but people of a certain age don't always have, well, and of a certain income, don't always have that credit card ready in hand to sign up online to do something, or have the internet access or the comfort level to be able to do that. And I think that was a huge problem during recreational events, and it still is signing up for recreational events or classes in the city of Barrie.
Great, thank you very much. We've got two more questions queued up here, and I'm just going to remind our audience that if you have any questions, last-minute questions you'd like to squeeze in, please send them through to the Q&A panel. So
Can I answer that last question first?
Yeah.
Oh yes, you know, Michael, you're going to be the host for the next one of these. Is that okay?
I love hosting. Again, I don't have the political experience or I would have ran for, but anyways.
There's so many things going on behind the scenes here, and I'm trying to keep track of everything. So thank you very much for.
At least I'm keeping track. Hey, I'm keeping
You are
track.
keeping me honest. So thank you for that.
Nervous as hell, but I'm keeping track. Yeah. Okay.
You did a great job.
Michael, please go ahead.
Creation, like it is so imperative. Like if we learned anything over COVID, everybody got that COVID stomach. Everybody did that got that COVID body, and we're all regretting it now. Like it's just like after Christmas. So what are we going to do about it? Well, let's get out. Let's get active with recreation. And I agree. It's some can and some can't. And I feel that we're a big enough city that everybody should. I'm liking what they're doing with the park situation. I've been driving around town and I've noticed a lot of improvements in the parks outside. I've noticed a lot of improvements in the waterfront outside. Again, but that accessibility, we got 3 wonderful rec centers. And again, the accessibility to those 3 rec centers is not fair. It needs to become equal. Again, we're talking about recreation facilities, and I'm thinking of the football fields and the baseball fields that are just on the outskirts of town. And I'm thinking, isn't there a way we could have put that in town? And again, it's that car culture. Now, if I want to go play baseball, or if I want to go play football, or have a baseball rec league or a football rec league, I'm driving out to Springwater. Why is that happening? I know for myself, just joining sports teams, like the opportunity to be on a sports team for youth, and the life skills that I attained through it, like that team player spirit and working with others. And I agree with the seniors. They're not as technologically advanced as the younger people are. So we have to make it more accessible for them. And again, like I was saying earlier, it's just, there's a population out there who's not being heard by our municipal government, and I feel they need to be heard. And I'm behind 100% of getting that done in whatever manner it looks like. I just want it done, and I feel it needs to be done. It's imperative. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, I think both Amy and Michael have answered that one. So we're going to move on to the question about budget. And Michael, you'll be up first on this one. What do you believe are the 3 highest cost services to the city, and what would you do to mitigate them and help alleviate tax burdens?
I know the police budget is up there. What else have I seen up there? I know there's always a constant, the city services. And sorry, you put me on the spot for a second here. 3. Man. I know for sure the 2 of them, like the city services themselves and the police services are a huge factor. Anytime that I have watched the budget being discussed over the years that I've watched it, and I don't know, it's just planning a budget for the city. And again, I remember in the old days when we had industry here, there was very little as far as tax increases, because we had those industries, and those industries paid a lot of taxes for us with our utilities and such. And it would be nice to go back to that. Like, I find the biggest complaint I'm hearing all the time is the increase in land taxes, the increase in property taxes, the increase in the residents dipping into their wallets. And we're at a time right now where every penny counts. Again, we have to make a choice sometime whether to put food on the table, or where to put, or whether to put gas in the tank, or do whatever. Like, it's not like it used to be. So budget is a big thing. But again, the rising costs of everything it's out of hand. And I think, if we sit down and we have an honest discussion and we identify, what Barrie needs, and And like, again, like I was saying before, why do you have a police station that used to be a police station not being a police station anymore? If we could avoid hazards like that and wasting money instead of appropriating money properly, I think we'd be a lot better off. And it would be more than just the 3 at the top. And I just want to see it all a nice budget that's comfortable for everybody, for sure. Thank you. I don't know if I answered that question properly, but that's what came to mind. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Amy, if you can respond, please.
Well, don't feel bad, Michael, because it got me too. I know that the police services is a huge chunk of the budget. I know snow removal is a huge chunk of the budget. And city services as a whole, I'm assuming is recreational facilities and city infrastructure services like that. There's a tough question because snow removal is what it is. I mean, we live in a snow belt. We need to make sure that our roads are clear. We need to make sure that our sidewalks are clear, that people can safely traverse them. The police budget, as I discussed before, I believe that needs to be, it needs to be a solid police budget, but I think it needs to be diversified. I think that maybe cutting back, no, diversifying into other avenues with social services support would be but it doesn't cut down the budget. There's when it comes to community services, we have recreational facilities that are being rebranded to businesses that are supporting them, and I'm really conflicted with that, because once we create a contract stating that a city service or recreational facility is going to be subsidized by a certain commercial entity, we have signed a contract and there's no turning back from that, regardless of where that might ethically or PR lead to in the future. So those are conversations, good conversations to be had. Excellent question.
Thank you for that. Okay, a question that's come in as is this one, and one more, and I think we'll be finished for the evening. What do you see as the role of our libraries within the issues already discussed, such as attracting youth, serving seniors, assisting the homeless, etc.? Amy, if you'd like to go first.
Our public library. It is a cornerstone in our city. I never realized how important the library was until I had a kid. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, you know what? We're going to the library because you're not sitting and watching TV all day. We're going to do something educational. We're going to read a book. I think that the library has, beyond just books, it has a very, very important place in our community for just education as a whole, for people, the programs that they put forth, for entrepreneurship, for the homeless. It is actually, it becomes part of a saving grace sometimes for the homelessness on extremely hot and cold days. I know that's become an issue sometimes, but you know, desperate times come with desperate measures. And I could never imagine living in a city that did not have a library. And I have a particular soft spot for our Barrie Public Library, and I think it needs all the love and support that we can give it, as it is a cornerstone of our community. And I like the fact that we are actually expanding to satellites into the different corners of our city to bring the wonderful Barrie Public Library to different sectors that won't make it down to the downtown core to actually participate in all the things that happen down there.
Thank you very much. Michael.
How do you follow that up? 100%. We live in a day and age now where everything is digital. Like I see people walking around with their phones left, right, and center. Hey, Google, hey, Google, hey, Google, hey, Google. but nothing beats the atmosphere of a public library. And again, with children, as was mentioned, like I'm a parent as well, taking them down to the library and just the adventure and the look on their face and reading a story to them, and seeing them light up. And just the community that is there and the uses. They have multi rooms that you can use privately with you and your friend, have a discussion. They have for many clubs, chess clubs is one, music clubs, two, use the downtown facilities. We also have the one down in Painswick that's there. And again, we're expanding with the satellite ones. So if people think that reading books is dead, or even the library community is dead, it is not. One thing I would like to bring into it that I've noticed in other municipalities is little labs. I noticed a couple of years ago I was in Innisfil and Alcona, and I was attending their library, and they had this whole setup of 3D printers and such. So if we could add and expand to the experience, like we don't have to have it at every library. Now that we're developing libraries in different parts of the city, it motivates us to go around the city. Like I was saying earlier, like why is there this divide between the south side and the north side? So let's provide and make it inclusive for everybody. And the library is a great place. Again, and it's nice to just go there. It's a good place for somebody to go who's, again, is homeless or needs a place to just warm up and dry off, or just get out of the elements and such. And I just want it to always be inviting. I've always found it being inviting, and the staff there are wonderful, 100% wonderful. You have a question, you want to learn about something, ask a staff member. They are so well educated and they know how to deal with us. 100%. Love them. Love the library. More.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, and our final question from the public, and then we'll do your final closing remarks, is regarding to poverty. And do you have any suggestions on ways to reduce household food insecurity in Barrie? Michael, can you please go first?
Ooh. Poverty. Yeah, I've experienced poverty myself numerous times. And, I've had to use the food bank. I'm very, very happy that there is a food bank there. The latest complaint I've heard about the food bank is it just the people using it is growing more and more and more. I also like this new idea that I've seen come up. I'm not 100% how long it's been around, but I know it's around, and they had the little libraries for the books that you could get on the streets. People would just put the little libraries there for books, and now I'm finding that there are a lot of places where they're putting up these little sheds or whatever, these little sheds, cupboards, I guess. And they're putting food in there for people and such. And it's, give a little, take a little. I've gone myself. There's one down the street from me. And, I've got a few boxes of craft dinner or something. I'll go fill it up every now and then. And I think that's nice. And the nice thing I like about that one there is that person doesn't have that shame or feel like they're being judged or something to that effect. They can do it at their own convenience and such, and it gives them a little bit of privacy and a little bit of anonymity, and helps them feel a little bit better. Because again, suffering, being in that part of poverty and experiencing poverty, like we feel so bad that we're in that situation, and it really knocks our self-esteem right out the window. And we feel very, very less than. And I would like to see more of them. And I would like to eradicate it, to be quite honest. But how do we go about doing that? I think that's got to be something that all three levels of government would have to tackle, definitely. But as a municipality ourselves, I think, having these little stations where people can pick up food on the street and such. I love that idea. Whoever came up with that, kudos to them. And I'd like to see that expanded on, support the food bank a little more. If we could, I was just attended hockey.
Thank you, Michael. I'm gonna stop you there because that's time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of good ideas. But we got to hear some of Amy's good ideas. Amy.
No, Michael's got some pretty good ideas. I have experienced food insecurity. From personal experience, I was just a quick anecdotal. I was in a very bad car accident, and in between years ago, and in between the insurance company and my work and everybody fighting it out, I fell between the cracks completely. And I understand what Michael's saying, because I went to great lengths to hide the fact that I was not eating from my friends and my family because of a sense of shame. And the idea of having a community fridge, I believe that's what the program's called, and these community little cupboards is brilliant for more than just one reason. They're excellent support, like for the food bank itself, but the food bank isn't always accessible, because you need to get on a bus, you need to go all the way across town, you need to register, you need to actually pick up your food, and you need to leave. And there's certain days, and there's certain regulations that go along with that. And if you are, say, a single mom with several children, that ain't working very well for you. So we need to have more of programs in our neighborhoods to help this out. And I love the idea of having those cupboards and fridges in our city. Pitch, I actually, we worked very hard because of being in those shoes. I actually did a lot of work for the food bank years ago, and I was part of several initiatives to raise money, or sorry, raise food, not money, for the food bank. But like Michael mentioned, these grassroots community efforts are very important, and I think they deserve more funding and more kudos.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for answering those questions. There were some excellent questions asked by the audience, and also some sent in earlier today. So I really appreciate that. So we're going to come to the closing section, where each of you we'll give you 2 minutes to give us a summary of any messages that you think haven't been conveyed yet, any points that maybe haven't been addressed that you think are important. So Amy, we'll start with you.
I hadn't got far enough to actually compile a closure. So I just like to say again, my name is Amy Corser, and I was asked to run for, I want to be clear, I was asked to run for office quite a few times, and I always said I would never do it. And the last few years, especially during COVID, things have changed. And I think that there needs to be big changes within our city. And I'm not seeing those things happen. And so I, like Michael, have put myself out there on a limb and threw my hat in the ring to support changes that I feel that are necessary. I'm taking on this role as a full-time position. I do have a little bit of a side business, but this would be my dedicated position. We need more diverse voices at the table. We do not need any more career politicians at the table. We don't need any more stereotypical people at the table. We need to have ideas coming from all places of our community at City Hall to ensure that all people's needs are met and everyone is seen and heard. And thank you for having me, and thanks Engage Barrie, and yes, thank you for having me this evening.
Thank you very much. Michael, I won't forget about you. Please.
Don't forget me when I'm gone. People find it hard to forget me. I don't know why, but anyhow. Thank you very much for having me this evening. I've had a blast. Ever since grade 10, my grade 10 history teacher introduced me, Mr. Jim Perry. He is well known in Barrie because he became mayor. And he introduced me to politics, period, in grade 10, and civil politics. And I like the grassroots level. I've struggled numerous times to sit there and I go, I want to change the world. And so I've tried to. I remember getting up on a soapbox for a while there, sitting there going, let's change the world. I want to change the world. And then I realized I couldn't change the world. So I brought it home, and I felt that if I could make some kind of an impact in this world, I have to start at the civil level. But that's not saying I want to be a career politician, because really I don't. I want to. I'm in love with my community. I'm invested in my community. I belong in this community. Like I said in my opening statement, there's been numerous times that I wanted to leave town, but I'm still here, and there's a reason I'm still here. I haven't figured out 100%, but I'm falling in love with this city. And I think I've been in love with this city for a long time. And again, when it comes down to representation, I just want everybody to be represented at the table. I feel that's a God-given right in this country, definitely. Like, we have a democracy like no other in the world. And I look around and I see what's going on in the world, and I love democracy. And all I want, if there's one thing and one thing only that I want to get across to everybody, is please just get out and vote. Vote for me, vote for Amy, vote for the mayors, vote for whoever you feel you want to vote for. But please, 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 just get out and vote. Have your say at the polling station. And if you need help, I know this year it's a little different and stuff like that, but there's lots of information and there's lots of us out there that are going to help you so that you can cast that vote. So please just cast a vote. I don't, preferably for me, but hey, just get out there and vote. And I hope I answered all of your questions and showed you a little bit of introduced myself to you so that you know me just a little bit better when I come knocking on your door. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Michael.
for having me engaged and putting this on. This is wonderful.
Thank you very much. Amy, I hope you're okay. We let Michael go a little bit over time, but I think his message there, as we all agree, of the importance of getting out and vote is important to get out there. And that's what Engage is all about, is trying to encourage people to go out there and you can get engaged with politics, which is the very simple start of casting a vote. If you can get involved in more aspects of it, great. I commend all the candidates in all the wards who are running, because it takes courage to go out there and put yourself out there and meet people. You know, and as we were discussing just before this started, we're all sometimes can get a little nervous. And thank you for putting up with my nerves and mistakes this evening. Thank you, Michael. Again, I may call you up if I need some assistance on another one. Just a reminder that to visit our website, www.engagebarrie.org. These sessions are being recorded and they'll be posted there so you can share them with other people. I'm going to say one more thing that I didn't say before we started. I am a Ward 4 constituent, so I've been listening very closely. I've been trying to as much as I can with this. So I'm going to get to rewatch. I'll rewatch the
Best
recording.
ward in Barrie. Best ward in Barrie.
Right. Thank you very much.
That's the best word in Barrie.
And good luck. Good luck to both of you.